We are at 6 p.m. and we have our quorum. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. Board of Public Health, Town of Cohasset, Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022. First order of business is 12 Lambert's Lane septic design plan. So who's here to speak for that? Oh, you're muted.
It's Terry McSweeney there.
Yeah. Hi, Terry. You're muted.
Oh, still muted. I can maybe do it. Maybe.
Nope, you're still on mute.
How about now?
There we go.
Yeah, much better.
All right, I'm going to share my screen.
The
Okay.
floor is yours, sir.
Okay, so my name is Terry McSweeney. I'm with McSweeney Associates, here to present the plan for 12 Lambert's Lane. This is an upgrade, a Title V upgrade. We're actually proposing to reduce the number of bedrooms in the structure. It's pre-existing 5 bedrooms. We want to reduce that to 4 bedrooms. So we had a number of issues that we had to design around at the site, including shallow exposed bedrock throughout the rear portion of the site and unsuitable soils in the eastern section of the front yard. We did find some workable soils in the western section of the front yard, which is where we're proposing to build our field. We're proposing a gravity system into a geomat leaching system 3900 leaching field in the front eastern or the front western portion of the property. It's considered an alternative SAS with treatment by DEP remedial use policy. We do need one variance for the proposal. Again, because of the various considerations and concerns at the property, we're limited to where we put the field, and that's basically where we're proposing to put it. It does, however, put our field at 24 feet away from a subsurface drainage line, and we are asking for a reduction in the required setback to the drainage line from 50 feet down to a proposed 24. Again, as mitigation, we're proposing to use the Geomat leaching system 3900, which does, again, as I said before, does include a treatment component as specified in the Mass DEP remedial use permit for that particular product. Other than that, it's a fairly straightforward system. It's a gravity system. I would be happy to answer any questions, specific questions that the board has. I didn't mention the one variance that we're looking for. There are no additional variances that are required. We are proposing a 2.4 foot groundwater separation from the bottom of the leaching field. Again, that's consistent with the design stipulations and the remedial use permit for the Geomat system. We could reduce this down to 2 feet under the remedial use permit, but we only need the reduction down to 2.4. So it's a 1.6 foot reduction in groundwater separation. We're allowed to under the remedial use permit. It's not considered a variance. That's one of the design considerations for the Geomat system. As I said before, I'll be happy to answer any questions that the board members might have.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Yeah, so we do have some other folks here that are perhaps here to ask questions, perhaps abutters. I have a couple questions that I'd like to ask. The first is, and I'm just looking to Pam. So in terms of the variance, the drain line that we're talking about, when we're just looking at this, the setback requirement to a drain line, is that different from so we have, the variances listed on this document? Can you scroll up?
I'm just not sure where I stuck them. Hang on, let me back out of here a little.
Pam, it's on the top in the middle.
Okay. There we go.
Okay, so the only variance is okay, the subsurface drain.
Correct.
Okay, so can you talk a little bit about that subsurface drain and what it does, where it leads?
So it basically collects surface runoff. You can see on our plan, we have two catch basins. There's one both in the street, one basically right underneath the right-hand corner of the property, and then another one over to the left, further down Lambert's Lane, closer to Hull Street. Basically, it collects surface runoff and directs it to the surrounding wetlands.
So it leads to the wetlands. Okay, got it.
Correct. Yes.
And then the second question I had was, did I hear you correctly saying that this was a Title V, and was this a replacement system for an existing?
Yes, there's a pre-existing structure that this is an upgrade. It's not for new construction. It's an upgrade. Pre-existing dwelling on the property contains 5 bedrooms. So we're actually reducing the number of bedrooms, and under the upgrade process, we could be building a 5-bedroom system, but we're not. We're proposing to reduce the number of bedrooms in the dwelling from the pre-existing 5 to a proposed 4.
Got it. And then my last question is, can you talk about the system that you're replacing? Was it?
It's a hole in the ground. It's shown on our plan. It's that dark black circle in the front right-hand corner. It's just it's a cesspool, basically.
Got it. Great. Robin, Elizabeth, questions?
Yeah, is that a barrier on the, I guess, the south side? Since the property slopes from north to south, is that a barrier that I see?
Yeah, so basically to hold the grade. So one of the things that we're limited with the geomat system is that we can only bury it up to 2 feet. So we're basically proposing to build a dry laid fieldstone wall around the southern boundaries of the leaching field, and we'll be putting a 40 mil rubber membrane between the stone wall that we're proposing to build in the leaching field. One of the other things that we can do, consistent with the remedial use permit from the DEP, is there is no overdig system, so we don't need to be 5 feet away. We're basically proposing to put the stone wall, basically about 2 feet away from the soil absorption system, and again lining the backside of the wall. Wherever the surface grades are lower than our breakout elevation, we'll be lining the back of the wall with a 40 mil rubber membrane.
Thank you.
Can I ask just, I have kind of a dumb question. Where's the house on this plot?
That's
So-
right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I got it. I thought that was the septic tank. I was like, God, that's a big septic tank. Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
no, that would be.
I'm with you. Yeah, yeah.
It's where it says 1,500 gallon septic tank. That's the house, really.
Right.
Yeah. Okay,
Then-
sorry.
And
At
then
the
the arrow.
crosshatched area
Yeah, that's
of
correct.
the porch.
Yep.
I just have a question. You have surface water flow. How does the water flow uphill? Or
It doesn't.
are those arrows?
It doesn't. So the surface water flow is from the topographic high in the northern section of the property down towards Lambert's Lane.
Right.
So we're basically proposing, so the red lines are our existing topographic lines, and our blue lines are our proposed topographic lines. You can see that we've proposed a swale along the western section of the property that will direct surface water flow, will maintain the current direction of surface water flow. So that pink line with the arrows show the direction of the surface water runoff.
I'm still not understanding how water is flowing uphill.
It's not. So it's up. We have a topographic elevation up near the porch of 58 feet, and we have a topographic elevation down by Lambert's Lane to 53 feet. So it's flowing from the 58 in the direction of the 53. And that the pink line has some arrowheads on it that basically show the direction of surface water flow.
Yeah, Robin, I was confused by the same thing.
Yeah.
If you look at the pink,
I guess what's confusing me is the direction of the arrows.
no, so look at the,
Should the arrows not be pointing the other way?
The arrows are pointing down.
so hold on a second.
They
So
are? Well, that's different. That's
the-
not the
The pink, look at the pink line.
way.
The pink
Okay,
arrowheads.
the arrows are pointing down. Okay, that's not the way I see arrows, but that's okay. I understand.
Yep, I had the same, I was wondering the same thing, and then I was like, oh, right, okay, that's pink. Does that help?
Yeah, I'm afraid I don't see where the arrows are pointing up. There are pink arrowheads.
Yeah, yeah.
There are
Right.
1, 2, 3 of them along that pink line that show the direction of surface water runoff flow. And it's from the 58, existing 58 topographic line down to and discharges at the 54 topographic line.
So we're
And
just
those arrows
confused
are
by the-
pointing direction.
we're
Beg
just
pardon?
The swale lines, the blue lines, they just look like arrows on the pink. So they look like they're
Oh,
pointing.
okay. Yeah, no,
So-
I understand. So again, the red lines are so that the dark red lines are our existing topographic lines.
Right,
Our, the blue lines are our proposed topographic lines, and I see what you're saying. What you think looks like an arrow is the indication of the swale that runs along the western property boundary to keep all the surface runoff on the subject property or down to Lambert's Lane.
okay,
And again, it's the pink line and the pink arrowheads that show the resulting flow of surface water runoff. And it is again from the 58 elevation down to the 54 elevation.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
A quick question here. I mean, would you please confirm that the soil absorption system is below grade or in line with grade? I think having the stone wall made me think that it was above somehow.
Are you asking if
Well,
this ground?
It is. So
Okay.
again, one of the disadvantages to using the geomat system is it has a maximum depth of burial of 2 feet. A standard Title V system can be buried up to 3 feet, but the geomat, the way it works basically is it's a non-woven geotextile that distributes the effluent uniformly across the surface of the soil absorption system. And that geomat material is placed on a 6-inch C33 sand bed. And the reason for that is it maximizes atmospheric oxygen input to the subsurface to keep the system functioning properly and to get the treatment of the effluent prior to encountering the groundwater. But again, in order to maximize the oxygen transfer from the atmosphere to the leaching area, we can only bury that system a maximum of 2 feet. So we have a breakout elevation of 55, which means our surface elevation can extend only up to 57. So we're specifying a surface elevation of 56 feet to 57 feet. If you look at the existing topography, we have an existing topographic line, 57 topographic line at the top of the soil absorption system. We have an existing topographic line of 54 down around the southern extent of the geomat system, which means basically we need to create a 2-foot rise in elevation to hold the geomat in the southern portion of the property. So again, we're proposing to build a dry laid field stone wall, the southern boundary of the leaching field. Top of wall elevation is going to be at 55 feet, which is our breakout elevation. And we have basically an existing topographic elevation of 54 in the southern portion of where the field is going to be located. So that wall is basically going to be about 1 foot high in the southern the southern extent of the geomat leaching system, and then return back to the pre-existing elevations, and it's basically going to meet back up where our surface elevation is 55. So that'll give us a final surface elevation of 56 to 57 with a breakout elevation of 55. It allows us basically to line the back of the field stone wall with that 40 mil rubber membrane to an elevation of 55, which again is our breakout elevation. So there will be a rise in the existing topographic surface. Again, we're building a wall that's about a foot high in the southern extent of the leaching field, and then that stone wall is going to return back to the pre-existing 55 topographic line, approximately 14 feet up the hill. That is the site, which is also why we needed to build that swale into the western section of the property, because we are creating a mounted system at the property. We need to control the surface runoff, and that's the function of the swale that we're showing along the western property boundary.
Thank you. And would you mind zooming out so where we can see the wetland that the swale discharged to and the property boundary with the
Okay, so
abutters?
the swale does not discharge to the wetland. The swale
Okay.
discharges to the surface elevation. The wetlands are significantly up the street from Lambert's, from the site.
Okay,
They're closer to Hull Street. So basically, it's not going to change the surface. So when we create this new system, we're not going to change the surface water flow direction. It's still going to be from the north to the south, and it's still going to discharge basically in the same location that it currently discharges. The only difference is we're creating the swale to prevent any kind of westerly movement in the surface runoff.
thank you.
But it does not discharge. The surface runoff does not discharge to the wetlands. It discharges basically to the southern portion of the subject property, which is where it's going currently.
Understood. I maybe misunderstood at the beginning, but thank you.
No, I think the question was, where does the subsurface drain line discharge? And that ultimately leads into the wetlands that exist in the vicinity of the site,
Okay.
but they are not
Okay.
on the site.
Okay.
Hmm.
Any other questions from the board before we open it up to the general public who may be here to ask questions or comment? Okay, is there anyone else who'd like to ask questions or comment on the plan? Yep, so I see someone by the name of Jerry who's on mute.
Hey.
Just tell us who you are and what your address.
Harold Leonard, I'm in a butter,
What's your address, please?
101 Hull Street.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have a quick question. How is it possible to perform the perk test without determining the property lines and staking them out?
The property lines were determined.
Were they staked out?
You painted it. You painted the line on the street.
So you're going by what I painted on the street?
No, there were some additional markings further up the hill, and I drew a straight
There
line
was-
from.
There was
from-
one. There's
Okay.
one stake up by my property.
Yep.
And that was it.
Yep, and we did the survey after the perk test was done, and the location of the test holes and the perk test hole are shown on our site plan. So we were on our property.
And why weren't they staked out by you? That's what I'm trying to determine.
That's not
When
required.
you do a perk test, it's not feasible to stake it out by law?
I had the surveyor's report with me, but no, there's nothing in the law that says I need to stake out property lines before I do perk tests.
Right, and you told me that it was done by line of sight?
No, it was done. It was done by a registered surveyor who provided me with their certified plot plan prior to our testing at the site.
So it just concerns me that it wasn't staked out when you did the perk test.
Okay, I understand that concern, and you indicated that you had a concern when we did the tests. As shown on our plan, that the testing was done on our property, and at the time I offered to move the perk test hole over.
You
Uh,
did,
I did offer, and you said that wasn't necessary.
right.
But
Because-
again, as shown on our plan here, all the testing was done on our property.
But you did ask if you could move it over, but
I did, yes.
we left it there where it was on my property.
No, it's
So-
not on your property.
Well-
It's shown on our plan where
Right,
the test.
but how did
done
we,
and on
there
our
was no way to determine
Okay,
that.
all
without-
right, okay, okay, got it. So your objection is that you believe the property line was not staked out appropriately before, or
Yes.
was not determined appropriately.
Yes, I do.
But it sounds to me that that Mr. McSweeney is saying that he had a surveyor report where he utilized that surveyor report for the perk test. My other question, the question I
That's
would
correct.
ask is, was this witnessed, was anyone there from the town, by the way, Pam?
She was.
Yeah, Pam was there and Phil Spath was there as
Yeah,
well.
and Phil Spath was there as well. So if you look on the figure right here, here's where the two test pits were, one right here and one right here. The thing that Title V requires is that you get the test pits where the system's gonna go, and it generally is you do survey afterwards.
Yeah, but in this particular case, Pam, Hoyt Land Surveying, who is a licensed registered surveyor in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, provided us with a certified plot plan prior to us being at the site to do the testing. And we referenced that plan on our plan. Hoyt Land Surveying, February 24th, 2022. So there's no doubt in my mind that the property lines as shown on this plan are accurate. And we did the survey work ourselves to determine the topography and locate significant site features, including the test holes. And those locations are reflected on our plan. And as you can see from our plan, they were clearly done on our property.
So that marking that says perk test, what is that?
Yes.
Which is close
So,
to,
so basically the way that, and forgive me if this is, if you've heard this before or if you know this, but the way the testing is done is you start by digging test holes because you have to identify a layer of naturally occurring permeable soils that meets the requirements in Title V. So you start by digging the deep observation hole. When you found suitable soils, including a layer of naturally occurring soils that meet the design requirements, you conduct the perk test in that layer. So you can see on our plan, the two deep observation holes that were dug, number 3 and number 4, to determine the site, the soil, the stratigraphy of the soil at the property. But that's an open hole down to as deep as you can dig it, or 10 feet, whichever comes first. You can't do the testing in there. So once you identify a design layer meeting the requirements in Title V, once you identify that layer in your deep observation hole, you have to expose the surface of your design layer to do the testing in that design layer. So as shown on our plan, OH3 and OH4, those are the locations of the deep observation hole that we use to determine the stratigraphy at the site to identify the appropriate layer for testing. Then we expose the top of the design layer to dig the perk hole to measure the perk rate. And the perk hole the testing hole, the perk hole is 12 inches in diameter and 18 inches deep. But again, you can't dig that where the actual deep observation hole was dug, because now you have disturbed soils and you're not going to get an accurate perk rate. Again, the sequence of events in the testing is to first dig the deep observation hole, map the soil stratigraphy, find a layer that meets the Title V design requirements. Then in some place other than where those deep observation holes were dug, you expose the surface of that design layer so that you can do the actual testing in that design layer. So it's kind of a two-phase approach. The first phase is to identify the appropriate layer. The second phase is to do the required testing in that design layer. And I know that the abutter had concerns about how closely we were to the property line, which is why I offered to push the test hole, the perk hole, over further away from the property line. And you know, I was told at that time by the abutter that we didn't need to move the test hole because that location was appropriate. I chose those locations based on the certified plot plan that came from a Massachusetts registered surveyor You can see the locations of our deep observation hole and the perk test hole that were dug at the time of site testing, and all of those things were done on our property.
Got it. Okay. Does that make, I don't know if that makes our butter feel any better or not, but it seems sensible to me.
There's no other way to do it. The first phase has to be to identify the design
Yeah,
the requirements in Title V.
that was my obtuse way of saying, does the abutter have any other questions?
That'll do it.
You're okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Anyone
you.
else with questions or comments? Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate you bringing that to our attention, so we put it to rest for you.
Thank you.
So we'll close the public comment session unless there's anybody else.
Hello, can I speak?
Oh,
one?
yeah. Yep.
I'm on the other side of Jerry.
Can you identify, just give me your name?
Michael Mullen, 12 Lamberts Lane.
Very good. Go
And
ahead.
I do have my side staked out. And I think they would put it to rest if they stake out the other side.
I'm sorry.
Is if there's any way they can stake out the other side so Jerry's would feel better about it. I think he just has concerns where it's going. So I think if they stake out that side, I have my side staked out. I know I had a surveyor do my side. If they had a surveyor, there should be no problem putting in surveyor marks going right down. I'm sort of surprised the surveyor came out, you're spending that much money, and they never did put surveyor marks in.
Noted.
So I just don't understand why they just didn't put the surveyor marks in.
Got it. Yeah, well, it sounds to me like, based on what we've just heard, that we were that the test was done well inside the property line. But
And you're taking this from a mark that might have been in the road? Or a
No,
mark
we-
that we put up? I just don't understand why the surveyor marks weren't put in, why they can't be put in now. Just to have everybody a peace of mind on this.
so that's a reasonable question. From my point of view, using the survey lines that were, just because it's not staked doesn't mean it's not accurate, I guess is what I'm saying. So it was, excuse me, you see the plot lines that are on the site plan. Those are done by a professional and certified, a certified professional is what I'm trying to say. And it looks like, and the test pits are far enough away from that line to say, in my view, that this was done appropriately based on that, even if it wasn't marked off, I guess is what I'm getting at. So it sounds like the neighbors, the abutter, Jerry, I'm sorry, I missed your last name, sir.
Honored.
That was addressed to his concern was addressed to satisfaction. So I appreciate your question, sir. Anything else?
No, if Jerry's satisfied with how it's going, I guess I am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll draw the public's portion to a close. Any discussion from the Board of Health?
Nope.
I'm
we're
here.
all set.
All set.
All set. Okay, could someone please make a motion?
Elizabeth, you want to try it?
Sure. I make the motion to approve the local upgrade to request local upgrade request for 310 CMR 15.4051F to reduce the soil absorption system setback requirements to a drain line from 50 feet to the proposed 24 feet.
I'll second that.
Okay, the motion is made and seconded. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
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 Aye, the motion carries 3-0. Can you, we need a motion to approve the septic plan, please.
I make a motion to approve the septic design plan for the proposed septic system at 12 Lamberts Lane, Cohasset, on dated October 1st, 2022, revised on November 11th, 2022.
Second.
Okay, very good. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 3-0. Thank you very much for a very insightful and vigorous discussion.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to other business. So we have two sets of meeting minutes to approve. The first was for a meeting that I was not present at, and so I'm going to basically just ask Elizabeth and Robin if you have any further comments about the September 27th meeting minutes.
No comments.
Robin, you okay with it?
Yeah, well, I'll move, we accept the minutes of that date.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second?
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 2-0. I was absent at that meeting. The next set of minutes were from the 10/25 Board of Public Health meeting. I reviewed them. Does anyone else have any comments?
Nope.
No comments.
Okay, then I move to accept the meeting minutes from Tuesday, October 25th.
I second.
Great. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 3-0. Excellent. Moving on. This is great. Next meeting date. So what do we have in the queue, Pam?
We actually don't have anything right now.
So
So I
should,
mean, we could schedule something for in December in a month, and if we don't have anything, then we don't have to have a meeting, we can push it off.
okay.
Sounds good.
How does everyone feel about December 20th, December 20,
Uh,
6 p.m.?
I may not be in town, I'm not sure. Since
Okay.
the plans are germinating, so I may be gone.
Okay, is either day on either side better?
Robin, does that week work for you at all?
Right now, it looks okay, but again, there are plans being made for me, not by me, but for me. And so
I know how that goes. How
There
about,
it goes, Jeff. Well, just schedule the meeting. Let's schedule the meeting as needed and we'll see what happens.
very good. Does that look okay for you, Elizabeth?
That works for me. Thank
Okay.
you.
So we're at-
December 20
Yep, December 20
at 6:30 or 6? What time?
at 6 o'clock.
6?
Yep, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock on December 20.
Right.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, so Pam, we've gotten your report religiously for the last month.
For the last 2 years or whatever it's been. Yeah, I guess it's been just like a lot of grant stuff trying to get things rolling with that. I think we're kind of running into some frustration because the people that want the nurse are in Situate and they're very bad about showing up to meetings. So that's getting a little frustrating. Hingham, as you probably know from the news, has been really struggling like with mental health issues, and Susan Sarnia, the health director, has reached out to us to see if Stephanie Saunders could help them a little bit. I mean, not only did they have the Apple Store thing yesterday, but they've recently had some suicides in town from like parents of school-age kids. And then they had that crazy, bus ride with a drunk driver so it's all, everybody's just kind of all on edge and stuff. So we've told Susan whatever we can do to help her, but I don't think anybody knows what to do, honestly, at this point. But Stephanie's kind of reaching out for some different resources. Like there's Plymouth County has some like health experts that deal with like suicide issues and stuff that might be of some help. So we'll see. We're kind of percolating on that and see if we can do anything to help them out.
Great. That's good.
That's about it.
I have a question. It would appear that there's advertisements for apartments to be rented at the Stop and Shop property. Is the sewer in force there now?
So the building inspector's been really, really good. He's been getting so much pressure for so long to issue occupancy permits for that building. But he's been saying and holding the line that, you know, the whole site needs to be connected and fixed. So, they're really, really getting close to connecting all the buildings, 380 with the failed system and 400, which is Stop and Shop. There's, they've gotten tanks that were on back order. They finally arrived. They're still just waiting for some control panels, and that'll be the final piece. So, John did allow just 5 units that are, I don't know what, I forget what you call them. Affordable housing. He allowed 5 affordable housing units. There's like about a total of 20. So that's it. He's just released those 5, and then the rest of them will get released once everything's finally connected. So it's way overdue, but it is what it is.
That has been going on for so long.
I know.
Like, I might have been early in my first term, actually.
I think it was. I think the system failed in 2018. It was due to connect 21, 20. I don't even know. I think it's at least a year and a half late past when it was supposed to be fixed, the 380 CJC. So it was frustrating that the owner worked very hard to get all the parts for the new building, new construction to connect, and which is, you know, had this failed system out there. That should have been first. That should have been number 1. So anyway, it's almost done.
Great. Thanks, Pam. And we'll include your reports in the minutes.
Yep.
And Mary, you also are religious with your reports. So do you have anything you'd like to add or comment on?
Well, I just, as you can tell, I'm not a writer, so bear that in mind when you're reading those reports. But Mary Whitley and I wrapped up our home visits today for COVID. So that's good, because they were a little labor intensive, because we have to stay for 15 minutes at each house. So, and we had upwards of 30 visits, I think, that we made. So today we finished that up. I still have 100 doses of COVID vaccine, just to kind of see what happens as we get through the holidays, and maybe we'll hold a couple of clinics. We'll see. But other than that, our numbers are good. Numbers are definitely good. They're going down. They'll be down again this week. So, you know, COVID is manageable right now. But the downside is the RSV and the flu. Flu is just beginning to start. So yeah, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of RSV. I don't get reports on RSV, but there is a lot out there. I've heard from the daycare in town that, you know, they're trying to manage it and come up with a policy. There's no clear policy like from the state or the CDC about exclusion or anything like that. So I worked with them a little bit to try to figure something out. So,
Okay, Mary, what is the current recommendation regarding the booster, COVID booster, the bivalent booster in adolescents?
oh, Robin, I'd have to look that up because I don't do adolescents. I've had Moderna all along. So Moderna is that we get is for 18 and older. So I'm not right on top of that.
Okay,
I'd have to look it up.
okay.
I think the one other thing I kind of forgot about is there's going to be a town meeting coming up pretty soon in December. Not sure when that is. Do you know, Mary? But we have one thing on there that we want to have passed, and that is to get a revolving fund to all Mary's funds that she generates from clinics, have that come back to the health department so we can pay like all the nurses that do all the clinics and stuff. So if anybody can attend, vote for the health department.
Do we need to typically when warrant items are posted, the relevant board votes on it? Is that something we should vote on as a recommendation?
I think we did a long time ago.
I feel like you've done that. And I feel like you've done it twice because we weren't sure, right?
Yeah, I think Amy had brought that up to me one time and then she just double checked and saw it in the meeting minutes that you did do that.
Okay, good. That's why we have minutes, because
Yeah.
my memory is terrible, so. Yes, looking forward to that. Okay, very good. Thank you, Mary. Any other items for discussion tonight? I have nothing.
The one other question I had is I heard that we were going away from Zoom meetings for public meetings. Have you heard that?
I think there's some committees that really want to meet in person, but I think they're gonna keep doing the hybrid for as
Okay.
long as people want.
And the hybrid being that we can all be on Zoom or that some of us have to be in person?
No, we could keep doing Zoom if we want. I think there's just certain groups that want to be in person
Okay.
for whatever reason. But
Sounds great. I'm good with Zoom.
Yeah. believe me too.
I mean, this is because of all my travel, it's like the only way I can serve, right?
I
So
know.
we had to be in person, like it was touch and go over the summer. Like if we had to be in person, it would have been like, well, sorry.
I know. Yeah, that would have been bad. Nope, I think we're good.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Take it.
Yeah.
Very good. Could I please have a motion to adjourn?
Sure. I motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that. I'll second that.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned 3-0.
Everybody
great-
have a nice Thanksgiving, everybody.